Welcome to DRIVIN, a show made entirely in my living room. And we'd like to start off with a little segment I call This Week in Car Geek. So, I've got some bad news.
What?
You know, just when we were all afraid that Iran was going to get nuclear weapons, it turns out that the Chinese have Lambo power. This is a replica Lambo that a gentleman has made in China. Usually a Lamborghini is made out of carbon fiber. Of course, this one is completely stainless steel. Guy's been busy, you know, from the people who brought us slave labor and our iPhones. We now have.
Hey, they at least got the body lines right as the Aventador. You can put a small baby right there in the air ducts. So
yeah,
they got that right. The headlights are actually the right angles. So I mean, they got everything right except for everything inside. What are they gonna put in?
Oh
there?
yeah, absolutely. Well, I assume it's gonna be a tractor motor.
I was thinking a Daihatsu or something like that, but
wait. Let's not break the bank on this thing. We spent most of our money in sheet metal and the welder to put it all together.
I'm just amazed that they got the baby-sized opening of the air intake right, because that's what the new Aventador is known for. Is it can take two babies. That's what they say the Italians.
Is that the technical measurement? The two baby measurement?
Italian babies, not American.
Yes, of course. Now, LED headlights are really popular. They've been around for a little while now. I mean, they're still a pretty new feature on cars.
Yeah.
They're definitely coming down to, you know, the standard car, I guess. But, you know, as they've kind of progressed, they've gotten a little more blingy. Certainly less about style and more about, hey, look at me kind of mentality. And I think it's kind of like makeup on a woman. Like, it's supposed to be there to where you don't notice it. Not so much that you're like, that's all you see.
Yeah, that's true.
But obviously there's Audis. Here's BMW's example. It's not bad, but once again, it's kind of one of those things where it becomes the focus as opposed to the car. Here's Mercedes. I think that's just one of the most boring LED arrangements.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, you got these little Christmas tree lights just going all the way around.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have thought about that in the 1950s when we came out with Christmas lights.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, Audi came out with it first. It looked a lot better at first.
Well, you know, BMW had their Angel Halo lights or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean.
And then everybody put them on their Honda Civics.
Exactly. Then now BMW does it, and no one thinks it's cool anymore. Audi does it now. Mercedes does it. The problem is look how far apart these are. I mean, literally, it looks like you could have put like your Christmas tree lights in your headlights and saved $150 on eBay.
I think they're supposed to be like diamonds. I think that's like the look they're going for is like, oh, it's like crystals or whatever headlights. But the one thing I do like, and the reason why I point out is Hyundai on the Genesis sedan, like they're going for more of like a flowing line, like a cascading effect. Like it helps accent the car. It doesn't become the thing you focus on.
I would definitely agree with Hyundai. I mean, clean lines, a lot smoother. Even like the McLaren and stuff like that. But I mean that is clean. That's a clean headlight.
Now something that they're trying to do is obviously the Porsche 918 is an example of a super motor with an electronic element to it that gives it that extra boost of horsepower. This is the new McLaren P1.
That's absolutely gorgeous.
It's supposed to kind of follow along the same lines.
I mean, that thing is literally like.
I know. I thought you'd like these. Here's the rear end.
Oh gosh. I mean, like, look at that thing, the lines and everything like that. If someone actually finally said, "Hey, let's design a car that actually looks cool," and this is a huge step. The McLaren from the previous generation McLaren, this is huge. You got a retractable wing on the back of there.
And it lays completely flat.
Yeah, you got a beautiful tail end. You got the nice round cornering of the just back, and it's got nice hips, like a big woman, like you like curved, voluptuous hips.
A theater in the round, I think is what they call it. Yeah.
Oh man, it's a beautiful car.
Yeah, they're gonna
definitely could have done something better on the wheels, but other than that, it's an absolutely gorgeous car.
Well, the other thing is, like, and here's obviously the new NSX. Another car where they're going to take a bigger motor, slap an electric motor on top. And basically it brings me to the point that, you know, why do we really need turbos anymore if the electronic technology is out there.
We have the technology. It just, why would they want us to get good gas mileage?
Yeah, that's true.
All those billionaires that have their $3 million yacht and smash it into stuff.
Well, no, they let the captain do that. They don't do that themselves.
Well, yeah.
They're loaded on 2 samosas and like, no, Captain, I got this. I can take her in.
I can bring her into the docks. But no, serious though, I'm not that impressed with the NSX. I wish they could have done a lot better job with it.
So why did they build this car when they've already made this one?
I mean, if Honda can design this, why can't they design something better than that?
That doesn't look like a robot. But that basically ends this week in Car Geek. Now, coming up next is a little review of the GT500 that I was able to get into. And I do have to apologize. Once again, we are not millionaires. These cars are kind enough to kind of show up at our doorstep when they come along. And sometimes there are going to be technical issues, which there kind of were on this shoot. But other than that, you know, like I said, we do this because we love cars. And, you know, we're always going to have a news segment, but we might not always have a review. So I hope you enjoy. Today we'll be comparing this Shelby GT500, a car I can't stand, against a car I can't wait to get behind the wheel of. Spoiler alert, I've already made my decision. Most shows, I guess it would start with probably somebody inside the car, like burning donuts and making loud noises and giving the rocket symbol and like picking up slutty chicks. But I will not do that. I absolutely cannot stand sitting inside this car. It is uncomfortable, it is noisy, it is a rough ride. Like, not like rough ride like, oh, this wagon doesn't feel comfortable, like prison, rough ride. It's like owning a 1980s pickup truck. I get the GT500. I absolutely understand it. And I think that the engineers and the people behind it were really thinking about how to get that much power to the rear wheels without just throwing the tires away. It's kind of like that scene in Jurassic Park. Remember where the old white English guy or whatever, he's talking about how he's like, our scientists have done things that they never thought before were possible. And then it cuts to like that rock and roll scientist. And he says to the guy, yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. That's how I feel about this car. I don't know how else to put it, other than the fact that they thought about everything, except for the fact that at some point, a human would have to operate it. So outside of that, it's amazing. So it's an amazing car that a human should not get behind. It is, by far and away, the best looking, worst car to drive I think that exists. I mean, I think a Mustang looks best when it's doing nothing at all. Like a supermodel, or a flower, or a supermodel making out with a flower, if that's what you're into. I'm not, but someone probably is. If you want something loud, kind of showy, uncomfortable, fast, and you've got $40,000 to $50,000 to blow, by all means, this is the perfect car for you. But if you're someone who has a spine, feelings, cares about your physical well-being, I don't think this is going to be the car for you. Looks good, though. Although I don't really like the Cobra badging. I don't get it. His name was Carroll Shelby. The Cobra was the car he made. So this becomes the Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Cobra thing? I don't know. It probably made sense on paper. Now, the SLS, I will gladly drive. You know what I think this car really makes me recognize is the fact that when, just like in life, when things are bad, we know exactly what to say. But when things are fine, you know, words kind of escape us. Like, we always remember the really bad waiter we had, but no one remembers the really good waiter that they had, or waitress. Let's not be sexist. There's just no better way to turn fuel into a gas. Famous last words for a cop swoops in and arrests me. It'd be worth it. I could probably outrun him. But I probably shouldn't. You know, one criticism that people do make about this car, or at least that I've vaguely heard on the internets, is that everyone says, oh, I wish it had a manual. Honestly, when you put a manual in this car, and I think you kind of ruin it, it's not really your track day racer, even though it's got the F1 style paddle shifters. This thing is a cruiser. All the knobs and dials make sense. They look like they were put down by someone who thought, you know what? Humans will be using this. Somebody was looking at me. Well, they were looking at the car, but I was in the car, and that's what's important. And I totally understand that there is no logic in comparing a $40,000 Mustang to a $170,000 Mercedes. But I do it because when you really look at it on pound for pound, money for money, the Mustang makes 540 brake horsepower. That is 23 horsepower less than this thing, but it makes 30 more pound-foot of torque. But it also weighs 400 pounds more, is uncomfortable to be in, is awkward to be seen in, and only looks good when it's not moving. This thing looks good all the time. Oh! The front end is really plasticky. Like, you look at the car and you're like, that's really nice. It's all fancy and all chrome buttons and whatnot. And you go up to like the front area, the grill. You go up to the grill and you just little press in and it kind of flexes like the back of a Corvette. You know, in the Mustang, hitting like 90 to 100 miles an hour, it doesn't reassure you at high speed. Whereas like this car, I feel like it's gonna be all right. Like that Jamaican guy said. Don't worry, be happy. Obviously, he'd never ridden in a Shelby GT500. He may have been a Mercedes man. I don't know. I'm not that well read. If cars are a drug, the Mustang is meth that just ruins your life and takes your teeth away. Whereas the Mercedes is it's probably cocaine, you know? Something you can get some help for. Go to a nice clinic. Your family has an intervention, whatnot. You know, you get off the stuff and you're good. Thanks for watching. Please like us, and as always, subscribe.